Hello, everybody. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon to everyone around the world. And I'd like to invite you to our, what do we call this, Melissa? I forgot.
Well, we have come up with different titles: humanitarian souls, activists,
Poetry initiative.
the
Okay,
poetry initiative,
right. Raising awareness for, right.
Yes.
Raising awareness for the abuse of
Female abuse.
Abuse of females.
Okay, if everyone would please mute now, that would be great. And then I would just like to introduce myself. My name is Barbara Ehrentreu, as you all know, and I am the Regional Director for Motivational Strips and a poet and an author. And I am going to be your moderator for today. And please let me know if you have any problems or time-wise. I know someone said, and she's not here, so that's good.
Barbara, even I would like to leave by 9:15. There's a dinner party.
Okay, so I'll call on you guys first. So we are going to do this like this. I am going to call on Melissa first, and then after Melissa reads her poem, I will call on someone else. I don't know who. Maybe I'll do it in the order in which you came, or yeah, I think that'll probably be the way I do. Okay, so thank you so much for coming, and over to Melissa Begley. You're muted. Unmute yourself, please.
People might have preferred my conversation muted, but I am Melissa Begley from the USA. I am the Chief Administrator for the USA and Canada in Motivational Strips. And this is a topic that I was a brainchild of, and I mentioned it to Barbara. And if anybody knows Barbara, she jumps on things quickly. So we collaborated on this, and we started to recruit people to join the team, and we have more initiatives that we are going to do throughout 2022, and many of you we will invite to do that as well. But as we know, abuse of females, this is also Women's History Month. What better topic is there for women than abuse of females? This has been going on since the beginning of time. And so this has to have awareness so there can be resolve. And I am going to go ahead and recite my poem so we can move forward. So first I have to find it. And do y'all like my nerdy glasses?
Love them. I am recording, so I am timing you. So
okay. 15. Blonde-haired and blue-eyed teenager, dazzling times, glitzy musical bands, charming young boys, and many with driver's license, smiles for giggles for everyone, biology classes, loads of happiness, and magical teenage experiences. Canyons, gorgeous ravines, herds of deer, tarantulas, historic copper mines, white, pink, and yellow flowers in the leaves, and adorning the canyon was a magnificent mountain stream flowing down from the snowy mountain tops and pure as the essence of an angel's heart. He was a handsome boy, a high school graduate, and headed to college in the fall. Of course, the blonde-haired girl wanted to ride in the car up the canyon roads. They stopped near a bubbling mountain stream, played in the icy cold water, splashing and laughing as the deer remained watchful, guarding their favorite watering spot. She was astonished that an older boy was so interested in her, but knew she had to return home. They sat in his car and discussed the magnificence of the mountains, the Great Salt Lake, the Bonneville Salt Flat, and skiing in April when the mountains were overflowing with snow. He moved closer and gently touched her hair and kissed her. She giggled and told him she must go home. He became enraged and his eyes were dark without any human life. Shallow, empty holes wrapped with anxiety protruded from his face. He pulled at her clothing and demanded that she remove her blue jeans. She sobbed, whimpered, and pleaded for him to stop. He laughed. He told her it was almost nightfall and he would leave her alone in the mountains with the wild animals and tarantulas if she did not abide by his demands. He ripped off her blouse and jerked down her pants as he fulfilled his masculine act. This was a violent assault. Thank you for letting me recite my point.
Oh, Melissa, that's beautiful. You have a few more minutes. If you would
Oh,
like
if I have,
to talk. You have two
well,
more minutes.
if I have a few more
Excellent.
minutes, I just want to say that, there's so many different types of abuse against females, and so many people assume that rape is because a young female is attractive or young, or maybe perhaps because of the way she is dressed. But working in the healthcare community, I can guarantee you that there are babies as young as 2 months of age up to elderly women that have been sexually assaulted by males. This is a situation that has to be resolved. And I am so glad that we have men on our panel, because we cannot move forward without males as our counterparts, to resolve these issues. It is totally disgusting, demeaning, and there is nothing worse than females being assaulted at any capacity. And the pandemic also brought a lot of domestic violence against women, young women in different areas of the world were impregnated by adult males. I mean, I am sorry. And I know there's a lot of wonderful men in this world. And my dad was a noble gentleman, and so is my husband. And so let's move forward and raise awareness to resolve, not just to talk.
Terrific, Melissa, and you're right within your range.
For once.
Good for you. Okay, so the next person I'm going to ask to read is, she just came into the group. It's Priya Lakshmi Gogol. She asked me to help her to read before 8:30, her 8:30. So it's.
I would also like to request, because I am in the street.
Okay. Oh no. Okay. So Priya Lakshmi, are you here?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes, you have
Okay.
5 minutes. So
All right.
start
So,
now. And you don't mind
hello,
being
everyone.
recorded, right? We're recording. Okay.
Hello, everyone. And this is Priya Lakshmi, and I'm from the northeast of India, and I'm from the state Assam. So thank you, Barbara ma'am, and everybody present here. I'm so grateful to Barbara ma'am for inviting me here, Melissa ma'am. So first, I'll be reading out my poem. The title of my poem is Candies. Mommy, uncle is at the door. My sweetest uncle, he often brings me candies and chocolates. And my mommy prepares lovely pancakes for him. Uncle plays with me and takes me to my room, makes me sit on his lap. Uncle, what are you doing? He says he loves me a lot and gives me a candy more. I cry in silence. My body and heart goes numb as he starts loving me in his favorite way. I want to go to mommy, but he says, shh, promising me candies again. So this is my poem, Candies. And this is about the kids, the girl child who are abused by relatives at their own home, or maybe by some unknown people also. But basically, we actually don't think that the girl child is actually not safe in their own homes, at their own places, so where the relatives may abuse them without the knowledge of their parents. So in this poem, I have talked about that the uncle, she is so fond of her uncle, but uncle is actually abusing her with candies, and the parents are not actually aware of this. So what I want to point out here is that there is a particular act called POCSO, which stands for Protection of Children from Sexual Offenses. So this act is actually for any kind of sexual abuse, any kind of sexual offenses, which is committed on the children in the age group of, say, any age group actually of the children. So this act can have an imprisonment of minimum 20 years and may also have different kind of punishment as per the sexual offense which is committed. So this is one point. And another point is that most of the children, they are afraid to speak out. They will not be able to tell you what is actually going on with them. But we are to look for the signs in them, like any kind of signs which may actually speak of such offenses being committed on them. So, and then we can help them to speak out what is the matter, and that is how I'm sure such acts, such offenses will come out to the light. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Priya Lakshmi. I'm so happy you came, and right on time too. So let's thank you so much. And now
thank you so much.
We're going to go to Masumi, who is en route. So
Yes.
please.
So thank you so much, Barbara ma'am, to invite me for this wonderful event, and it's wonderful, meaningful, and it's necessary actually, and wonderful listening to the eminent poets. I've just, as I was flying, I was just, penning down few thoughts of mine that abuse can be of different types, kinds, a female, a child, So if we feel like, it's a voice to the, voice to the female, that a female must have a voice and never accept abuse in silence. So for that, I have just penned down a few lines. Here goes my poem. No, not me. I'm not to be touched. Your voice is not to raise on me. Your voice is not to raise on me. No, I won't stoop down to plea. Touch me not. I'm not your slave. Remember, I'm born free. Your hands are not to torture me. Your hands are not to torture me. I won't accept your bully. I am a female, not your captive. I am a female, not your captive. Remember, I carry my own identity. Yes, I am a female. Consider me not to be so frail. I won't bear your abuse. I won't bear your abuse. No, I won't welcome any blues. Why blues? It's like, after abuse, women, children, they face depression and they cannot express what's going on with them, and they bear it in silence. So it is a request to all the females, to all women, to all the children, the girl children, they should voice, and parents should teach right from the early stage that, the good touch, right touch. And if something is really happening wrong to a girl, even a boy, they should speak up to their parents. They should have the guts and courage to speak up that this is happening with me. So this is, again, a poem to give strength to the voices of the women of the entire world. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening to me.
Thank you so much. Simi, just before you leave, tell everyone a little bit more about yourself because you have a few more minutes.
I am Mausami K. Sachdev. I'm the CEO of Griffin Publication. I'm an author of 8 books and a contributor to more than 25 anthologies. That's it. I am a teacher. I am a social activist, an author coach, a ghostwriter, and you can say a motivator, encouraging young children and women to write. This is all about me.
Thank you so, so much. Wonderful.
Thank you.
So happy
Thank
you
you.
could join us even en route. I think it's wonderful.
It's the first time and it was wonderful. Thank you so much. And I wanted to listen to all, but I think the traffic police will.
Okay, well, we hope that you can. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. And please try and join us for the discussion afterwards.
Sure.
Okay. Sure. And so now we will go to, let's see. Oh dear, some people are not here. All right. Let me go to Lillian. Lillian Wu. Lillian, unmute, please. Lillian, are you here?
Am I audible? Am I
audible?
Okay.
Great.
Yeah, good morning, good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to meet everyone here. And thank you, Brava, for your invitations and to organize this wonderful event tonight. I am Lillian Wu from Malaysia. Actually, I have developed a passion for writing after my retirement 5 years ago. So besides writing, I love cooking and baking as well. I think Brava and this Melissa have seen my scones. I'm the author of the poetry book, The Pearl Wonder, and has co-authored many anthologies, 5 of which has been in Amazon's first place bestseller rank 1. Currently, I'm serving as the chief administrator in motivational scripts and also an editor for this writer tribunals. And also I'm the chief representative for this World Nations Writer Union. Besides that, I have been appointed as the national president for this UHE, and also I'm nominated and entitled with this HE ambassador, General of National Peace Unison India. So for my poems, tonight I would like to recite on this domestic violence. A woman is a jack of all trades. She should be protected from any threats. A daughter, a mother, and a homemaker. She is capable of climbing up the corporate ladder. In a home, she holds great responsibilities. She is often a peacemaker to bring unity. She offers unconditional love to the family. A woman sacrifices, treat her with dignity. Domestic violence is a very shameful act. Know your rights, stand up and fight back. Don't suffer from pain and silent anxiety. Expose the defaulter's violence for your security. It is disgusting to abuse women and children physically. Don't inflict on them any misery and agony. They deserve love, respect, and self-esteem. None should be battered and become a victim. The law never allows demeaning actions. The perpetrator should be given punishment. Stop domestic violence to children and women. Let the pleas for help be heard, felt, and seen. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lillian. You have a few more minutes if you would like to say something.
I feel like this domestic violence is rather prevalent nowadays. So in order to, normally it's due to pressure or depression. Should this happen, I think they should seek help from any organizations, or they go for these psychologist treatments. This will help a lot.
So thank you very much, Lillian. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
I know it's later there. It's like 10:30 at night, right? Or almost 11. So, I would like to call on now Sonia Batra.
Hello, greetings to all, and thank you, Barbara, for the invite. This is Dr. Sonia Batra, a dentist by profession and a writer by passion. For me, poetry is by catharsis. It healed me so. And for me, it is something very intrinsic, and I try to put down my truest feelings on blank papers. And I think I picked my quill when my changed perceptions, here I underline the word changed perceptions, became my validations. And I realized life doesn't stop, it just goes on. And somewhere the rebellion in me thought, and I took life as it was. And until I penned my thoughts, I didn't know I had such vocation of thoughts. And during the lockdown, I penned my first book, The Soul Stirrings. Now, basically, this is a poetic saga of a female, a very terrible type of emotional and physical abuse that she goes through living with a narcissist. And we all know narcissist is a person who doesn't have empathy. What he appears in society and what he is behind closed doors, there are two opposite traits. And he's all full of self-grandeur. And so this book is basically about the domestic violence, the emotional abuse, and the subsequent depression that she goes through. So I am reciting few excerpts from my book, The Soul Stirrings. And first of all, it's on domestic violence. The stats of domestic violence are very high, but they are not reported. I think so, Ethiopia, all the underdeveloped countries, and it's very strange that US, the Kentucky, tops the list in domestic violence. I think so female doesn't talk about domestic violence because she has that streak of protecting her relationship, and you don't want to bring to light your live-in partner or spouse bad things because they are not taken in a good sense. So here I recite few excerpts from my book. This is on domestic violence. He pushed her to the ground, banged her in the wall, slapped and scratched her face, inundated with anger. He's barking words, all to hurt. He kicks her arm and twists her soul, her painful shrieks, giving him a high, but yet more to come. He is strong, she's frail. She's no match for the game. She's beaten black and blue, a bundle of sighs and groans, lying on the floor. And she didn't know what hurt her more, his violent verbal abuse or his gory physical tortures, or her own lack of courage to stand against it all. But still she protects him. After all this physical and mental torture, thinking her selfless love would bring her husband back one day. So, with bruises over body and bruised eyes, smiling, she said, all is fine. Face swollen, black and blue, eyes hurt to the darkest hues. She said she had a fall out of the blue. And still she stays, because traumatic bonds are more stronger than the normal ones. And the frivolous mind makes you stick to them in the ugly corridors as light of forgiveness. Because you're so afraid of leaving them, you shiver, thinking of a life in their absence, and the love takes its toll. Divorce a taboo, and over that, this family and societal pressure. Isn't marriage a lifelong thing? Till death do us part a cling? She was well tutored in the lessons of sacrifice and subjugation, where greatest of hurts come from your most loved ones. where small acts of control and aggression are considered as tokens of love. And I think so, we females are somewhere wired wrong emotionally. We just know how to love and we just try our best to save our relations. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonia, so much. Thank you so much. And abuse of women and females can happen in any way. So thank you so much. And I am now going to go to Pearl.
Okay, I'll keep the intro short because if you've read it.
Uh-oh, you're muted.
Hello again. I'll keep my intro very short. It was long enough in the chat. A psychoanalyst, a writer, a poet, a person. I loved what Sonia said. That was a wonderful division between professional and passion. That's a very short and wonderful way of saying it. And Sonia, could you put your book in the chat maybe so we could see it? Anyway, I have two very short ones. One is more realistic and the other comes from a place I don't know. She's a little girl called Caitlin, but I'll read one first. Very short. Since you split my lip, I learned that blood really does taste like copper pennies, and that it is possible for you to cry copious tears in my lap as I hold your hand and notice that your knuckles are swollen around small cuts where my teeth hit. Since you split my lip, I dry your tears with a dish towel, suck the blood back down my throat, and get you ice for your two fast fists. And no, there is no need for sorry, because I truly do know that this time will be the last. So there's that one. And then I don't know where this little girl came from, but I wrote a bunch of poems about a little girl called Caitlin. My Caitlin, raped, murdered 4-year-old. She came on the edge of April in the corner of the living room, near the front door and window, blonde tousled curls, dimpled hands held over her silent giggle. She had those china blue eyes of baby dolls and fairy tales. In the corner of the living room, in a pale yellow sundress, softly thin with play, short on plump sun-blushed thighs, she loved peanut butter sandwiches, cut in perfect triangles, running in the green field, barefoot in cool grass toward the forest, though she was told not to. She was simply Caitlin. She was 4, murdered, raped, and left for parents to find, for me to know somehow, alive in the corner of the living room. She asked nothing of me. I've given her nothing much in return, an armful of poems, 2 unclear novels. She asks nothing, expects everything. Her sundress still pretty, her curls still tousled, so close I can count each crescent moon of each pink fingernail. All these years later, new grass, sunshine and earth, floating on the edge of April, holding my Caitlin, my raped and murdered child, who left me with herself, her story already written in the ungraspable air.
Oh. Pearl, that's amazing. Wow. That's amazing. The description
nice.
of the girl. Oh God. Is there anything else you wanted to say, Pearl?
Well, one, I have to atone publicly here to motivational strips, because long ago when you mentioned it, I thought it was a comic strip.
Oh.
And I said, oh, that's charming, but not my cup of tea. Oh, good luck. So, oh, my loss for a long, long time.
Well, we would welcome you if you would like to come into the group.
Well, we'll see, but certainly it wasn't a comic strip at all.
No, it is not. No.
And in terms of Caitlin, I think she sort of fits into the sort of soul and light, because from the time I was 9, I was intrigued by the fact, as wanting to be a writer, that somehow a character would appear. And it took all that time, and suddenly a character did appear, but she sort of appeared with her whole story. And I don't know what's much to make of it.
Well, thank
except
you
she's
for
very much
sharing,
alive.
Caitlin, with us, Pearl. It's such an unusual character, and you tell her so well. So I'm going to go to Priyanka Banerjee, right?
Hi.
Priyanka Banerjee.
Hello, ma'am. Hello, Barbara, ma'am.
Hi,
Or
Priyanka.
ma'am, David, sir. Yeah. Actually, I am at Joyrambati now. This is a village of Bengal, and this is the birthplace of Sri Sharada Devi. So she is, worshipped by Indians as goddess Durga. So this is a village which has a spiritual significance, and I really feel blessed today because Sharada Devi symbolically, she's an incarnation of knowledge, Ma Saraswati. So I am here near her temple, and Barbara ma'am, Melissa ma'am gave me the opportunity to read out a poem on women today. So it's a great feeling for me. So the poem that I have chosen for today is a different type of poem on women. I have tried to write about women, the identity crisis that each and every woman faces from a symbolical point of view. We all know that trauma is a feeling that a girl child internalizes right from the beginning of her life. Okay, so this is something that has become an inevitable part of a woman's existence, that is trauma. And in Indian society, especially after marriage, brides are beaten up, brides are, for different reasons, for dowry and for other reasons, and they have to adjust a lot, they have to face a lot. And as Virginia Woolf wrote in her wonderful essay, A Room of One's Own, I think most of, Indian women are deprived of a room of one's own. Okay, so this identity crisis, this feeling of trauma is something that woman, an Indian woman particularly, I have written this poem from the perspective of an Indian woman terribly, and it is out of this feeling of identity crisis that the emergence occurs. Because there is, I believe that there is a source of infinite power within each and every woman. Okay, and as Linda Hogan, the famous American Indian novelist, has exploded in her novel Power. Okay, so the theme of my poetry is power, a woman's power. It's a bit philosophical, a bit symbolical poem. I have not dealt with the real issues in a realistic way. Rather, I should say that it is a symbolical poem dealing with images and symbols from a spiritual perspective. And I have ended up the poem with a Sanskrit chanting through which we Hindus invoke the goddess of infinite power, Mother Durga. The title of my poem is A Woman's Confession. Just a second, ma'am. When the comets fell to kiss the ruptured bosom of her stolen earth, and burst out before they touch her buried body, God visualizes her within her lost luminous blue. When the red crab bites the particles of sand and engulfs streaks of golden light with an exasperated sigh, creating a mad, mad commotion in her translucent air, God feels her warmth and smell within her nostalgic hue. When the dark space pulls her and drags her blocked arteries towards the dictator's terror-stricken territory, the shamelessly derive pleasure out of her touched naked limbs. God recreates her within his stolen paradise of mad, mad beasts. When darkness covers up the dark parts of the rejected horse crushed body, blood drop trickles out from her much kissed lips. Moon rays and starlight blaze the center of the universe. Myriads of insects dance around the light, the macabre dance of faith and triumph. The sinking river hides her face under the rocky, barren, deserted desert. Retreating birds sing the song of togetherness or nothingness. The plethora of poignant, sonorous songs give birth to a new man out of the womb of an ancient woman. Moments ruin moments, breeding lustrous eyes of lustful temperament. Broods stab her floating feet, and she shrinks in pain. The sea engulfs her again, and God discovers her not anymore in the hypocrite's sunshine and the dictator's reign. Suddenly, they chant and invoke her. Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Vidyarupenu Sangasthita Namastashay 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 Namo Namaha. Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Matri Rupenu Sangasthita Namastashay 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 Namo Namaha. Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Shakti Rupenu Sangasthita Namastashay 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 Namo Namaha. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
What was that at the end, please? Beautiful.
Thank you, ma'am.
Could you translate that for us?
Yes, ma'am. The last three Sanskrit lines, that is, I quoted from Chandi. Chandi is the Hindu religious
Yes,
text
Gandhi, we all know
in
Gandhi.
which
Yes.
goddess Durga or Chandi has been invoked or worshipped as the source of feminine strength. And in these lines, goddess Durga has been represented as an incarnation of mother. Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Matri Rupena Sanskrita. Matri is related to mother, comes from mother. I mean, the same word. So Ya Devi, O goddess, Sarva Bhuteshu. So you belong to the universe, or you appear in the universe as an incarnation of infinite motherhood. Namastashay, 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 namo nama. That means pranam. Pranam to you. Then Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Vidyarupeno Sangasthita. O goddess, you appear in front of us as wisdom incarnate, as an incarnation of infinite knowledge. And we all pray to you so that you awaken us with power. And the last line is Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Shakti Rupena Sangasthita. Ya Devi, O goddess, Sarva Bhuteshu. That means you are the seed of creation. You are the seed of this universe. And this universe belongs to you. The universe is created out of your womb. And you are an incarnation of infinite energy, infinite strength. And I am worshipping you. Namastashay, 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 namo nama. I am surrendering myself completely at your feet. You are Mother Durga, you are Mother Kali, you are Mother Saraswati. But in 2022, in this postmodern world, we need that feminine energy, that tremendous feminine energy. And Swami Vivekananda had written a wonderful poem. Please read it, man. That is Kali, in which he has, invoked goddess Kali. Kali is darkness incarnate. Why darkness? Because the space is also dark. So the universe is created out of infinite darkness. And one day when that goddess who represents creation, who represents destruction also, infinite force,
Thank
infinite
you
power
so
and
much,
destruction energy.
Priyanka.
So, universe.
Thank you
ma'am.
so much for giving us that strong feeling of power to women. That's what
Thank
all
you,
women
ma'am.
should feel. That's wonderful. Thank you so much. So
Thank you, ma'am.
the next person I will go to is, let's see, how about let's see, have we gone through all of the people who might be? Kenneth, yeah, he calls himself Shadowless Dreamer. So let's hear from
Okay.
Kenneth. our man.
Okay, good morning and good evening to everyone. It's my honor to be here today. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Melissa, for this invitation. For me, before I became what I am today, I think I was a spirit.
Kenneth, you're muted, Kenneth.
I don't know if you got me from the beginning. Before I became what I am today, I was a spirit, and I'm a spirit human being, and my poems come from the heart. I believe right now I'm a medical doctor. I'm just left clinical research. I was doing research in HIV and AIDS in pediatrics and women. I'm just starting business in recreation and tourism. My interest in life really is to inspire people and to make people to elevate to a higher level of spirituality. I'm an author of this book, Love, Consciousness, and Humanity. So my first poem really looks at awareness. What is awareness? What does it mean to be full of awareness? So this poem goes like this: glittering thoughts. In the firmament of my mind, a bedazzlement of beauty has set camp. An encampment of the most beautiful thoughts submerges me in an ocean of complete silence. It's an outward and the inner beauty that is displayed on the canvas of existence. Like a dark night sky, I'm blessed by a billion glittering eyes, not here to intimidate me, but to remind me of the realm of awareness. I have chosen to lie down on the fabric of existence and absorb the charm that oozes from these magnificent creatures. It is not the fear that encapsulates my being, just a sense of pure tranquility. A fortress has been built inside my being. A fire has been ignited with flames that reaches the roof of life. It is not the flames of uncontrollable desires, but an intense flame of knowing. This sacred knowledge is not an open book. It's an open sea of beauty, a beautiful canvas for the most beautiful thoughts to bask in the light of eternity and be absorbed into the fabric of existence. It is this beauty that envelops my being. This is the beauty of love, consciousness, and humanity. Now, as I go into the topic for today, which is really raising awareness for the abuse of females. So my poem goes the same as the theme today, which is raising awareness for the abuse of females. Where do we start? Should we climb to the highest mountain peak or walk naked on the streets of life? Maybe we should all sing it because it seems like music has a large audience and following. But no, we cannot all sing. Yes, we can all start within our cycles, family and friends, our communities. Yes, we can say no to the abuse of women and girls. We can say no to the hardships thrown at them. We can advocate for change in their homes, not only through harsh laws, but through empowerment and awareness. We can cut the ribbon to equality and prosperity. We can open our hearts to their suffering and understand their circumstances. We can stop judging and start caring. We can erect a fortress of unconditional love and fill their hearts with joy. Yes, we can reinforce their foundation, undress their garment of vulnerability, and address their needs. The abuse of females can only stop if men and women are united in their disgust and willingness to sacrifice their time and deeds for them. If we form a human shield around all females, regardless of their race, religion, and economic status, we can form a ring of love around their lives and be married to their needs. We can write poems about them, solidify their status as the most beautiful human beings, paint their faces with hope, peace, and love. Yes, we can climb the highest mountain of care and show the world our hearts. we can embrace this girl child and mentor her in all the ways of life, we can all reach deep into our being and touch our feminine spirit as a celebration of our oneness. Thank you very much.
Oh, I love that part. It's a human shielder and all females. What a beautiful thought. Thank you so much, Kenneth.
Thank you.
And now I think we're going to try to go to Calipena if he's there. Can you put your video on? Would I say Calipena or Calipida, I think. Calipida, gosh, are you there, sir? Calipida? Nope, I think we lost him. Okay, so then we will go to Mary Lynn.
Derek, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, first of all, I'll introduce myself. I am Mary Lynn Louise, and I am the Regional Director of Media Coordination and Membership in Motivational Strips. I'm also a poet,
Hello.
a writer, and
Wait a minute, Mary Lynn, wait a minute, Calipena.
yeah, let me get out and let him go.
Right, Calipena, are you here?
Hello.
Hello,
Hello.
sir. Can you put your video on?
Hello. Hello.
Hello. Could you put your video on? Hello.
Ghost, India.
Yes, we know.
Hello.
Can you put your video on, sir? Hello, I'm Barbara. Can you put your video on? Oops, we lost him. Mary Lynn, continue.
All right. Okay, here we go. Well, anyway, motivational strips is, as you know, is wonderful for all writers and poets, and we just love it. And our job really is to encourage others. Okay, so I am also the author of several ebooks, and one of the reasons I say that is because I can't read a book. So I wanted to say too, all of you authors and poets, if you have a book, please make an ebook out of it too, so that people like me who can't read a book can go and get an ebook and we can read it. And I also have a published paperback called My Poetry is My Legacy, which I am very proud of. And I have 2 more in the works, but you know what? For some reason, I just don't seem to have time to do it. So I'm blessed to be here. And I have passions, and one of my basic passions is the abuse of women and children and older people. Those really touch my heart. And my mother was a nurse, and it seemed to be that when every full moon came, my goodness, the emergency room at the hospital was all full of women who were being abused. You know, they ran into a wall, they fell down the stairs, they would cover up what really happened. And so I am so pleased to be here. And so with that, I will recite my poem, and I hope I can keep crying, because I cried the whole way when I was writing it, because I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, this happens every single day. So just give me a minute to pull it up so I can read.
Okay.
Okay. The name of my poem is Lord Help Me, Help Them. Sometimes I get so mad and angry. Lord, at what I see. My emotions overflow, taking control of me. How can I, wait a minute, I got to get these glasses off. Okay. How can I be silent, saying nothing, when every part of me wants to do something? What's the matter with all of humanity? Are they blind? Do they not care about such human atrocities? My heart is wounded, as if slashed by the sword. I cannot realistically keep quiet anymore. If I can help just one get out of this hellhole, help me, Lord, to be very, very bold. The story needs to be told. A woman of the street, a piece of meat to be used and abused as men see fit. A prostitute, they say. She's getting paid. She's broken and beaten. She is forced to stay. Caged like an animal, locks on the door. She'll remain contained until her body is no good anymore. Her name unknown. She dies alone. Her grave, the city dump, eaten by rats as their lunch. Man, what would you do? Woman, what would you feel if you knew in your heart that pile of bones belonged to you? That's it. And as you can tell, it really touches my heart. And I know every single day that this happens over and over again.
Thank you so much, Mary Lynn. Are you frozen? Did that happen?
Something, I don't know where you are.
Okay, we're done. So
Well, anyway, you can still see me, right?
I can see you, yes.
Okay, well, I'm glad to have been here, and I
Just
will
click
still
on,
be
yeah.
here. I'm just
Get
going to
back
figure
to
out
the-
how to get you back.
Mary Lynn, to get back, just click on the video camera on the bottom of your screen and it'll get you back. In the bottom of your screen, it'll get you back.
Well, I'm looking at you. I can see you on the video, but I can't get you back. I can see you, but I can't get you back. Well, I'll get you back somehow. Don't
Go
worry.
back to the
I'll be
link.
there.
I'll readmit you. You're in there, but I don't think you have a problem. I can see you. Okay,
Okay.
so I am going to go to David.
Ghosh.
Oh, wait, Kalipita,
India.
are you here? Kalipita, are you here? There you are. Okay. Hello. Hello, sir. I'll go to you then.
I am
Thank you.
Kalipata Ghosh. I am Kalipata Ghosh. Good morning and evening to all. I express my heartfelt gratitude and thankfulness to Barbara to have been invited and honored to express my speech on amusement or female amusement on auspicious evening. And I feel proud to express my views and to go through my poem in a beautiful evening, in a fine evening, in a spring. At the outset, I express my heartfelt and gratitude to Barbara Ehrentreu and Melissa Begley and other dignitaries of the prestigious group. So, At present, women is rampant. Female abusement is rampant in society. So we must be aware of the fact that women are precious gems of the society. They are the creations of God. And this beautiful creation should be protected by the society. And we feel proud to protect themselves, the female child of the society. And in this context, I would like to read my poem. Women are not the puppets of time. Women are not the puppets of time. Kalipad Ghosh. I feel pains at the excluding and harassment of the female child. God had created man and woman. Woman is the wonderful creation of God. A man without woman and woman without a man is incomplete but complementary. Mother, sister, daughter, and all are all women. Woman is born for love, beauty, charm, compassion, and mercy. She is the embodiment of love, beauty, and compassion. She has hopes, desires, mind, heart, and soul, emotions, and passions. In the society, women are not given due respect and honor. They are repeated, they are repressed, and often harassed. Women empowerment law should be enacted to respect equality, injustice, power, and position. Sexual harassment and abuse of women is a daily occurrence. They are burned down with inflammable materials. This is the Yes Act and a great same.
Oh, we lost him. Oh no, I think we lost him. He had bad video. He had bad, oh, that was a beautiful poem. Thank you, Kalipida, when you come back. Are you
I
back?
would like to,
Maybe Mary, you know what? Let's go to Melissa, who can. read.
I
Yeah.
just want to say something really quick. We had in motivational strips, we had the initiative for National Women's World Poetry Contest, and Honorable Sir Kalipida won that.
Yes, he
So-
did. He was the winner.
Want me to go ahead?
Are you back?
Madam,
Oh, back, sir. Sorry.
I am reading.
Are you lost? We lost you for a little bit. Can you
I
finish
would
reading?
like to read
Yes, finish reading, please.
three. This heinous act should be raised to rigorous punishment. In Indian mythology, the goddesses like Kali.
Okay, we lost him again. Melissa, do you have that poem? Wait, you're muted.
Let me find his.
Wait, he's here.
Power. And safety. They are not the puppets of time. They are the puppets of time. And women are the precious gems of the society. We should protect the prestige, their and
Okay, I think we're going to have to go. I'm going to ask Melissa, if you would, to finish his poem, please. Please unmute yourself.
Women empowerment. God has created man and woman. Woman is the wonderful creation of God. A man without woman and a woman without man is incomplete but complementary. Mother, sister, wife, daughter are all women. Woman is born for love, beauty, charm, compassion, and mercy. She is the embodiment of love, beauty, and compassion. She has hopes and desires, mind, heart, and soul, emotions, and passions. In the society, women are not given due respect and honor. They are repressed and often harassed. Women empowerment and law should be enacted in respect of social equality, justice, power, and position. Sexual harassment of women is a daily occurrence. They are sometimes burnt down with inflammable materials. This is a heinous crime. This is a heinous act and a great shame to the modern civilization. This heinous act should be redressed with rigorous punishment. In Indian mythology, the goddesses like Kali, Durga, and Manasa are the powerful goddesses. A social consciousness and awakening should be aroused. Social equality, position, power, representation, security, and education should be more emphasized, and law should be enacted for their proper security and safety. They are not the puppets of time. And that is by Sir Kalipata Goose. Thank you.
Thank you so
And that was the
much.
winning poem for the contest.
Yes, that was such a beautiful poem. And Sonia just said she has to leave. Sonia, thank you so much for being here. And Priyanka had to leave too, but I'm just going to say we are continuing. So thank you. And I'm going to go to David and Sharon.
I'm going to talk first because I'm talking a little faster. David is a moderator on Motivational Strips. He is a retired person who oversaw the manufacture of parts for extreme environments like space. His proudest work was making parts for the space shuttle. I'm going to read a poem first, then he'll read a poem. Mine is based on my father. In the 50s, there were no laws to help women who were married. It was considered between husband and wife, but my father would help women escape from abusive relationships. This was not changed until the 60s, as you know. So I'll start reading. The callers. Cries and frenzied knocking at the door. It's 3 a.m. The bar's an hour closed. Father is at the door and calling me, yawning and blurry-eyed from a doze. Take the crying children from the bruised mother. Chocolate milk to comfort small sufferers. Mother has her in the chair, ice pack on eye. The torn nightgown, mom's robe over hers. Father is calling a man about clothing and for bus tickets for us from a small town where there is only a covered bench stop where you must flag the bus down. Then a call to an old army buddy for a place to stay in a new job. Pickup lights intruding the front window. Here comes another drunken slob. A door slammed hard, shouting of a strange man. The woman is sobbing in fear. The children start to cry. Their drunken father is coming near. Dad says, call the sheriff and is out the door. I am so worried about him. Dad's age is more. The drunkard swings, Dad steps aside and lands a punch, then catches the man. Dad's days on the oil rig should give me a hunch. Dad lays him on his pickup seat, red lights flashing in the window. Dad says, keep him a couple days, give the woman a getaway window. The man led stumbling to the police car, in our car to the doctor to sew the rip. Then a store opening so early, a suitcase and clothes to wear for the trip, a stuffed bear each for the kids. Waiting near a tiny town, Dad is telling her about where she is going. Kind words hide my dad's frown. Flagging down the bus in the dawn light, she must have been so young when she became a wife. She says she's 20, the oldest is 4. Goodbyes and best wishes for a new life. The night and the callers are gone.
Oh, David. Beautiful, beautiful. Can you maybe say a few words? Can he say a few words to us? Sharon?
Sure. Go ahead.
Can you move in more into the picture?
Here we go. Say hello.
Hello.
Hi, David. Nice to meet you. Okay, something just happened.
Oh,
I think you got frozen or something. Okay.
Seems,
Ignore.
it seems that the best us men can do is stand between a woman and other men.
I
It's
think that's a
sad, but
great thing.
That
Yes.
has to be the way it works.
Yes, I think that's a great thing. And that poem tells us all. Thank you so much for being here. And I hope you'll stick around for the discussion. So, okay, I think we have one more person, myself. And I am going to read my poem. And my poem is about a situation. I am, as everyone knows, the regional director for motivational strips for the West. And I have unfortunately been abused when I was 14. So this poem is about what happened to me when I was 14. And unfortunately, sad to say, Pearl, it was by my psychoanalyst. And the title is called Tainted. So many years ago, when the world was full of bubblegum dreams and ice cream sundaes, when conjecture and wonder were part of my thoughts, I dreamed of being a princess, riding off with my Prince Charming to the proverbial happy ending, replete with formal, rosy, fairy dust gown and flare and tiara, astride that white horse galloping into the sunset, my 14-year-old body like a ripe peach about to burst and burgeon. My life so protected, I was unaware of danger as it approached me, clothed in the guise of a wise friend, coaching and guiding me toward a new understanding, smiling as he slithered across my psyche and manipulated the strands of my innocent thoughts to believe in his reality, that it would be okay for me to slash my innocence and succumb to his advances. This trusted friend and helper who would listen to my childish wonderings and use my undeniable teenage longings to creep beneath my armor while applying mesmerism and his faith in my innocent following, ripped away that wonder and replaced it with sodomy, forced upon me. And I tasted of the tree of knowledge, hiding it from loved ones until it burst out one fate-filled day and lay there in the air like the poison it was. And I have one more poem. This one is about something that happened to me online. I was unfortunately abused online. See, it can happen to women online too. And so I believe this guy, and I was so stupid, and it's called romance abuse. And here goes. It's called Just Desserts. Anger infiltrates my body, and I want to throw razor-sharp daggers into the one who caused it, so he might suffer the agony like being bathed in hell's spotlight of what he has caused me. I want to wash his face in the libel he has spewed and taint his soul with the lies he has blathered into my innocent ears. Unchain the lion inside me and claw at his insides with the sharp claws of my venom, and wrap him in the jaws of my ferocious mouth until he realizes the loss of innocence and the dewy wonder of a sweet surprise. And as the pain cuts through him like a chef's knife through his vital organs and his life oozes out, I want to be there to watch as his life's blood leaves his body and only his desiccated corpse is left to stand as a defendant for all who have incurred his brand of disdain and greed. And that was Just Desserts. And that was how I felt. And so with that, let's unmute all and let's start the discussion. Unmute yourselves, please, all of you. And I'd like to know how everyone feels about what we have discussed here.
I think it's just wonderful to be able to come together and to really express ourselves this way. Almost all of the poems brought tears to my eyes. I mean, it really did, because it's such a passion of mine. And like you, I was abused too. Mentally put down, because that particular person had been hurt himself. So, you know, most of the time, people who hurt people have been hurt themselves.
Yes.
And I find that to be very true. But it's still no excuse. They need to get help. They need to get help. And I think that we can, as women, really, you know, we need to support one another. But also, that woman has got to come out of the closet and stand up for herself.
Absolutely.
Like some has said here that, like Sharon said, you know, her father helped people escape. Well, 2 times in my life, I have helped women escape the abuse of their husbands. And oh, what a feeling it is to be able. Such a joy to see a woman, you know, be able to be free herself. And that is my desire, to see this stop, totally stop.
I agree, and I think everyone here would agree. And anybody else would like to say something?
Yes, I would like to say something. Today, we got a very beautiful opportunity to listen to some wonderful poems. And Barbara ma'am, your poems are really so touching, and it really made me so emotional. And the abuses on women are so much that actually we cannot include them in our poems. They are beyond words, what we are facing, actually. It can happen to a 2-month-old baby. It can happen to a 90-year-old lady.
Mm-hmm.
So everywhere, all around the world, and there is not a single girl who will be able to say that she has not been abused during her school days, during her teenage days or whatever. I'm sure all the girls, all the women, they have been abused in one way or the other. Same goes in my, like I too have been, like it's not, it's, that is what I said, that every woman, every girl has been abused. Like when I was traveling by bus, like somebody forcibly touches you, brushes against you. So that is a kind of abuse. Okay. And so most of the people, they are not able to speak out. But in my case, I did twice or thrice. I did speak out in the bus that I was traveling. I pulled out that guy. I brought him to the street, and like I made it aloud, and I let everybody know what the issue was. So in such cases, like I can definitely say that I have got a lot of courage, and I can stand up for myself as well as for all the other women. So I have been touched forcibly in the bus I traveled, or maybe when I was walking from school. So there are such instances, and I can definitely say that it's just not me. It's all the women around the world. They have been touched, they have been abused in some way or the other without permission. And what I feel is that women should have the ability to say no, because no is a complete answer, which most men do not understand. And this courage has to come from within. Nobody can force you. You must be able to say no to even your own men. That is my point. And recently, I would like to give you an example here in India. I forgot exactly the place where it was. Just few weeks back, a 2-month-old baby. I exactly forgot the age, but it's months old baby. It was found in a microwave. The body was found inside a microwave, and the crime has been committed by the mother herself. But now, can you tell me why the mother has committed that crime? Because mainly it was a girl child. It was a girl child, and this issue is still going on, that a girl child is not welcomed with wholeheartedness. So this 2 or 4 months old baby was found inside a microwave. So can you imagine? Like I could not even read the whole news. It was so depressing, so depressing. So these type of cases are still going on. And that is what, as in my poem also, I have spoken about a child, a girl child, who is abused by their own relatives. We don't actually, and there are parents who do not believe. When the children also will go and tell the parents, they will not believe. So, but actually, it is their own relatives, the girls and the female, they are not safe at their own place. Most of them, I'm not saying all of them, definitely not all of them, but most of them, they are not safe at their own places. So actually, the thing is that we all have to be united to speak against such crimes. Men has to support all the women, the men, and I salute all the men who really respect women, and they can voice out against all kind of offenses. Thank you so much.
You know, we can teach our women to say no, but it's very difficult when it's
very difficult.
Very difficult when it's children.
Yes.
And like you stated, when it is a trusted family member or a pillar of the community or somebody that is closely connected to the family. My first occurrence, I'm going to go ahead and talk about this, was when I was 6 years of age by a respected person. There was not penetration, but there was sexual abuse. Went on at 9 years of age, was a grandfather of a good friend of mine tried to come on to me. And then at 15 years of age, that is my poem. Yes, I was violently raped. I went on when I was in South Korea on an American Army post, was raped by some unknown stranger. It was not uncommon for us teenage dependent girls and children to have something negative happen to them. But I must honestly say that the South Korean culture, that it is such a heinous crime that there is a high level of punishment, and you do not want to be charged with anything like that, because you're going to be treated brutally for the rest of your life. How I wound up as a fairly normal person is probably because I was surrounded by love by my parents, and then I married a man who, has departed because of cancer. The first time, we're going to get personal here, probably the first 3 times that I engaged in sexual activity with him, which it was nice, but I cried and I wept because it's like PTSD. And then finally, on the 3rd time, he said, Melissa, he says, you've got to talk to me. You've got to tell me, I love you. I'll understand. And, men have to stand with women. They have to stand between women, because, there are too many women that become sexual promiscuous because of sexual abuse. I'm glad that I did not go that route. And it happens, or they become drug addicts, or they become alcoholics because they're trying to numb their feelings. It is a serious issue, centuries and centuries of issue that has occurred to women. This has to be stopped. And the only way is that everybody has to unite. It has to be totally unacceptable. It does not matter if you are a high-level politician, a CEO of a company, your minister, your priest, it does not matter. This has to be stopped. And as she mentioned, people do not believe children. People do not believe girl children. Now, this happens to young boys as well. And as we know that the sexual trafficking of young children, and young boys in many countries, this would not exist. It's a supply and demand. This would not exist. And it has to stop. So, I don't know if the men think that their little indiscretions are okay because maybe it's on a foreign land or nobody will know about it. But mothers, please teach your boys impulse controls. Please teach your boys to respect females. It can be done. And it's just totally devastates, all of us to know that there is such an ugly, dark side that exists in the universe. And that's all I have to say.
Very true.
Oh, very true.
Okay, let me comment. In my career and in my life experiences, I think I have seen and I interacted with women who were abused. As a medical doctor in here in Africa, we know most of the burden of many diseases is on women. And when I think about abuse of females, I'm not just looking at gender-based violence. I look at the broad spectrum of the biopsychosocial issues that come up with abuse. We see here in Africa women at age of 35 who look like they are 60 because of these burdens of life. So this abuse is systematic. It comes from a very young age, and it affects all elements of growing up. And it also is multifaceted. Some of it even come from like just the culture itself. So this abuse of women is that's why when I write a poetry about awareness for abuse, I say where do we start? I mean, it's huge, but yes, we have to start somewhere. And our poetry, through poetry, I think we can reach out to the heart of people. I think that is the beauty of poetry. It goes into the heart. We live in a world where most of our our reasoning is based on the mental and not on the spiritual aspect of humanity. So I think through poetry, we can reach the spiritual, which is the root actually of a human being, and try to change them. So thank you very much for the beautiful poems. They're really touching. I wrote a poem once about a poet and the message. Where do you separate the poem and the poet? So it's really very interesting. We have seen all that, the aspects of that in today, that sometimes the poet is the message, and sometimes the poet and the message might be separate. Thank you very much.
Very good, very good.
I want to say a couple of things. First of all, in terms of your therapist, that's just beyond, it's a conversation, it's a book in itself, it's an awful betrayal, but as awful as a family member or any of the other betrayals. But I also wanted to, I think about this a lot with the Me Too movement, which I think, and don't jump on me because I also was abused, but I think sometimes it's swinging too far over in the pendulum, because I do believe that we all have male and female aspects, and there's too much right now of a division. So there can't be this sort of understanding from men, because now men are getting into a very strange kind of a place where they can't even offer comfort. I don't know, Sharon, if your father would be able to do today what he was able to do back then, because he might be seen as a perpetrator if he was allowing a woman into his house. So the helpers are in trouble. The ones who would like to help are in trouble. So that's one thought. The other thought is, until we make this type of, and I don't want to say real abuse, but covert abuse that we can really talk about, criminalized, and not in a way that it's shameful. It really drives me up a wall when a woman is raped and her name is not mentioned, as though there's some awful shame. We're perpetuating that as a society rather than just normalizing the horrific crime. When someone is murdered or someone is assaulted, we don't hide their name. But yet, if a woman is raped or a woman is assaulted terribly, we hide their name. What are we saying to a society? But you should be ashamed. And therefore, women do not, as you said so rightly before, use their power. I was raised to, respect my body and have power and yada, yada, yada. And so because I had a big chest, I came into, quite a few circumstances. And perhaps I was just lucky and maybe someone was just watching or what have you. But in several instances, I was able to just stop it by just saying, like in one case, a very, I think, well-intentioned man. I was a newly single young woman, and he came over to the house. I invited him over in the afternoon. He was another single father, and I was a single mother, and I thought it was lovely. And he just took his pants off and got on top of me. I said, okay, just wait one moment, because I just want to be very clear. This will be rape. Okay, go ahead. And he was devastated, because in that case, that man really had misread signals. I don't know whatever happened to him, but hopefully, I guess he did get a different idea about things. And I'm certainly not saying a 2-month-old baby or a child has that kind of power, or if you're on a dark road, you don't. But when it came to my own abuse, which was physical, this is also why people who knew me didn't really quite believe it, because to me, that was something different. So, getting backhanded by your 22-year-old husband when you're 20 years old, 17 and 19, and him being devastated, for me, it was always like, okay, that's the last time. We could just wipe it clean and then continue on. I'll say one last thing. That's my own little hypothesis after many years, personally and professionally. I think many women who are physically abused, the reason that they stay is not as much out of fear as out of a misplaced, distorted sense of power. They feel they're the only ones who could deal with him. And there's an enormous power in that. Even through all the horror, it's like, I'm the only one. It's all the fantasies that culturally just run through the world, that we are the ones that can change this man, that this man truly loves us to the point of distraction, and we can calm it. And until that breaks, it continues. I'm sorry
Well,
for
I
that.
just want to say that my abuse happened because my mother sent me to a psychologist, and I would say I was quiet and backward child. I wasn't socially active like I should have been at 14. I had friends, but I was not, and in the 60s, if you didn't have a, a, a group of friends, a lot of friends, then you were considered, like someone who needed help. My mother thought I needed help. Plus, I think that at that time, my father had just had a heart attack, and there were a lot of things that were going on in my life. So she sent me there to someone who she thought would help me. And for a couple of sessions, he was fine. And then all of a sudden, he hypnotized me. Now, I'm a pretty gullible type of person. I believe people a lot. I don't know what it is about me, but I do believe people a lot. And I believed that this was some kind of medical treatment. And I think this has happened to so many girls.
Nowadays.
It's in the news about what's happened with the gymnastics and with the cheerleading. I mean, it's everywhere. Men are taking advantage of women and girls.
They're also taking advantage of their position.
Exactly. To do awful things to them. This doctor that was treating these girls on the gymnastic team actually told these girls this was medical treatment. And when you're young, you believe it's medical treatment. So I thought, oh, this was probably, he hypnotized me so I would feel more comfortable doing this. And never told my mother. Never told my mother. Never thought of telling my mother, because after I thought about it, I thought, oh, this is something the doctor did. He'll probably tell her or something. And then I thought about it. And then I thought about it all my life until I was married 2 years. And finally, and that's what the poem is about, 2 years after I was married, I told both my husband and my parents at the same time. It just came out. And my father was so angry because he knew the guy. He was in his lodge. And he knew him. He was a good friend.
That's terrible.
My mother was outraged. They wanted to kill him. My husband, oh my God. My husband, I think he looked him up, but we never found him. And I think this kind of thing that's perpetrated upon girls is horrendous. And I hope that they stop it with prosecuting these people, but men don't, they seem to squirrel out of these things somehow. They just don't get it. And then women who have been abused sometimes won't come forward.
No, that's the problem.
Yeah.
They don't come forward, yes.
That's why we have to break the silence. And I'm like you, Barbara, at 6 years of age, my father was a high-level government official and my mother was a stay-at-home mom. I came from a very traditional family, a Southern family. So we were raised to be very polite. And so when it happens in your own home, when you're left with somebody and your parents have gone shopping or something, it's quite tragic. And then it happened at my girlfriend's house. So these were protective environments, allegedly, that you're supposed to be in. Now, maybe at 15, I was stupid for taking a ride up the canyon, but that's what we did as teenagers living in Utah. We spent a lot of time going up to the canyons because it's just, breathtakingly beautiful. And then on an army post, it was just totally a violent rape. So even if you try to protect yourself and you come from families that are protect you, surround you with love, it still happens to a lot of females. And I have to agree with Pearl. I do think that the Me Too movement has gone to the point where it has created a lot of anger towards men. Men are not allowed to be the masculine beings that they are. You know, so many of them are so against football and so many sports that are manly. And we cannot have that, because that is a larger divide. You know, women and men are different, and we enhance, we complement each other. And we just have to train young boys and young girls, because when I was growing up, you know, you didn't hear about those things, and we're not on television.
No,
You know, it
No,
was a
we're
totally,
not
you know,
there.
I
it was
didn't even know,
taboo.
I didn't even know what homosexuality was until I was 23 years of age, because it was just, you know, you just didn't hear about these things. And so even when you're surrounded with that protection, and even with a stay-at-home mom and traditional parents, and, you know, living in a safe community, it happens. And women should, and of course, I never told anybody until I told my husband. And it is that silence that has to be broken. But how does a child, you know, that is to tell somebody that, especially if they're 3, 4 years of age? And yes, it does happen at 2 months of age, because I know of a baby that was airlifted to the hospital and that died because of sexual abuse by a man. And can you imagine somebody doing that to a 2-month-old child? And the stigmatism that it's just young women has to end, because a lot of elderly women, there was a case in Texas where there was a man that was going around breaking into the homes of elderly women, 85, 90 years of age, and raping them because there's no strength there. It's not about sex, it's about power. And people have to start realizing it is not about sex. It is about power. And it just has to end. And we cannot blame the woman. We can't say that she's not in a protective environment, because it happens even when you are in a protective environment and you are surrounded by protection all of your life. But I have to admit, you know, I didn't date in high school because, you know, I didn't have any appeal for men. But when I got a little bit older and I started dating males, I would tell them on the first date, I don't engage in sexual activity.
Mm.
I would tell them on the very first date. And many stayed and dated me, and many left. But I was very firm about that, because I knew that I was not going to place myself in a predicament that I did not control the situation. And so I think all young women should just tell men that, you know, there's just not going to be, you know, you can take me out to dinner 3 times, but there's not going to be any sex, you know, because a lot of men have that expectation that if they're dating a woman, they're spending money on her, they're buying her flowers, that they should get the treasure chest.
Right.
And
And I
also
have
this,
to say that when I was growing up, people didn't talk about this. This was
No,
taboo. Nobody,
absolutely.
even no woman talked about it. And when I went to camp and girls would, I didn't know anything about sex. I knew nothing about sex, even though I had been abused. I still had very, small knowledge of sex. And so I was a virgin until I was 19. So, and then, and then I realized that, I didn't have to give it up to everyone that I wanted to give it up to, that it was my choice. But I think that power is very important. And when I was abused online, romance scams, I did not give money, although some women have been abused on romance scams, and they have wound up giving a lot of money, blackmailed.
right.
Or they felt sorry for the guy or whatever. But these are scams that are, unfortunately, they're trying to shut them down, but they're still there. And You know, it was a year after my husband had passed, and a man was showing attention to me, and it's
vulnerable.
women are vulnerable. You
Yes,
know, we're all vulnerable, and I don't fault any woman for being sexually abused. My friend Amy, unfortunately, could not come. She's at the vet with her cat, but she was abused, and she was abused young like Melissa, and she kept being abused by her father, who lined up men for her. I mean, what is this? This is not, you know, what kind of a society is this that does that to children? I don't understand it. So
Well,
she, yeah. What do you think, Pearl?
As Melissa and some others were saying earlier, I believe it was you, Melissa, in terms of educating and raising boys in a different way, I still think that we have this very odd, again, worldwide distortion of what male sexuality is and female sexuality. If you think about it, getting really out there, I mean, females can become multi-orgasmic. Most men cannot. So females really are highly sexual. And yet the whole world, again, because of power structure, allows boys and men to feel they have this uncontrollable impulse. This is not an uncontrollable impulse. It really isn't. I mean, men are not monsters. Little boys are not monsters. In fact, more boys that are sexually abused commit suicide, incidentally, than girls, because it is such, it really does such an awful kind of psychological damage. But this idea of, you know, like we're women on the one side and we sort of have, I guess, a lesser kind of sexual impulse. And then there are the men on the other side who are just raging and having to hold on to their genitals because they'll just jump on anyone. It's just, it's a fairy tale, and it's a horrible fairy tale. It's a fairy tale in the grimmest of senses that has to be broken, because again, we're all male and female. When you speak, Shadowless, of this spirituality, we're one. We have male aspects and female aspects. And Barbara, when you were so angry before, someone might say that was your male aspect. It wasn't your gentle, maternal, female aspect. So we can't keep doing the split. The split is what keeps this going. And I'm not saying, you know, you sort of forgive everyone like I brought ice to, you know, my abuser's knuckles. I'm not talking about that. But the understanding that we are one, we're both. So we do have control. The power dynamic does not have to be this way unless we're talking about age. Obviously, if we're talking about children, we're talking about something else. But once we're adults, that word no is really powerful. So is a need to someone's growing. So is all sorts of other things. We have a great deal of power. And so is speaking out, as you say, Melissa. So is having a voice.
Down there, so we could just quiet it off.
Thank you, Pearl. Actually, Priya Lakshmi, I'd like to tell you that I rode the subway trains, and Pearl, if you've ridden the subway trains, you know that when I was riding the subway, men are crowding around you and they are touching places that you don't want them to touch. And many times I took my hand and slapped a man because he was touching me, you know, in a place I didn't want to be touched.
Yes.
Just
And
slapped
this
him.
is a
See, I
and this
didn't
is
quite
something-
handle it that way. Go ahead.
something very common, which is faced by almost all the girls, I think. It's a very common problem in the buses, in any transportation.
Yeah, and the thing is, I
Common
just
thing.
slapped their hand away. I didn't slap their face or anything.
Well, you could just make it unacceptable. I guess that's the way I used to handle it when I was going back and forth to NYU. If something happened like that, I just say, "Oh, excuse me, did you want something?" I'm sorry. Was there something that you wanted? And men have feelings. They're usually not confronted in that kind of way. They're really not. And they're sort of like, "Oh, no, what do you mean? Oh, okay, nothing. Enjoy the day."
Well, don't you think men actually, when they see a woman, if they're close and nobody will know that they might decide that if they like something, they would touch it. I mean,
I
you
don't, I
know,
didn't really find that.
do you
I
think?
did not. No.
I think
Don't
some
feel
men
fair.
that their
Some men.
indiscretion will never be known, and so
Mhm.
that they'll do that. But we can't say that all men,
Right,
on,
not all.
you know,
Not all. I
but
wouldn't say all. No, some are
but
very respectful and wonderful and
yes,
keep to their place or whatever, and are very respectful all the time.
But
And
it's
I'm
the
sure
same
all
sort
the
of
men
thing as,
here are those.
Barbara, sorry to interrupt you. It's the same sort of thing as stealing. It's like saying, well, anyone, if they won't, and no one will know, will steal something. Well, maybe a good deal of people will, but a good deal of people won't. And it's just sort of that's the dynamic I'd like people to start putting this on, is it's not even so much of a power dynamic, it's just a right and wrong dynamic. Would you take something if no one knew? Some people would, and some people would say, no, I still wouldn't, even if no one knew.
Okay,
That's-
so if we were to wrap this thing up, because this is really
It comes to
coming
personal integrity.
Yeah.
Yes.
Would you say that women need, if we were to raise awareness, should we start early in life? Should we start with children? Should we let children know that there's a way to ward off abuse?
age appropriate. Because
Inappropriate touches,
what you
right?
tell a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old is much different than what you're going to tell, as they age, but it has to be age appropriate. So
Right.
that, and not
At school,
make them afraid of men.
Right, exactly.
Right. And also, we can go around and anybody can say what they like to end this discussion. But I like the idea that women and men should unite to fight this problem. And because I've always felt that men are a great, boon to society, and I would not like to see them leave or be abused themselves. So if you would like to say something, go right ahead, and then we're going to end at 12:30. So whatever you'd like to say, go right ahead.
As here, I would like to say something. As I'm a teacher, so at school, we teach the children regarding bad touch and good touch. So through that, they get to know. We teach all the children. There's a particular subject called life skills, where the children are taught to cope up with the practical issues in their life. So this teaching of bad touch and good touch is one of the topics. So there we teach them everything regarding that touch, and when to raise their voice, how to reach out to people. So those things are taught. And as I think as young children also, we should teach them, the boys especially, we should teach them how to behave with girls, women. This is one point which can be done from home. Most of the things start from home.
I agree.
So teaching, discipline, everything should be done from home. The mothers should be very particular to teach the boys regarding how to behave with female, how to behave with their friends, the girls, the women. So that is one step which can be done. And I also think that there should be more strict laws. If I think that's my view, because I think there are the laws are not very strict enough, and so that is why the men, once they go, for example, they are termed for a particular period in jail, then they come out and they again commit the same crime. So I feel the laws should be more strict in these cases against offenses against women, any kind of sexual harassment or any kind of harassment. So that is what I feel.
Okay, anybody else?
On that note, I think the harsh laws also have a negative effect on women reporting the abuse. So it's a catch-22 where women are silent because they know that the man is the breadwinner, especially in domestic violence. The man is the breadwinner, and if they report them and they go to prison, nobody, their lives will be even be harder. So it's something that needs to be discussed. Yeah, just my comment.
Yeah, that's true. Anybody else?
Well, I think like Kenneth said earlier, we need to come to the spiritual part of it too. You know, we were taken supposedly, according to the Bible, from the rib of the man, which is next to his heart. And we were created to be a helpmate, but equal to him. And so I think that is one of the basic things too, is that men need to know that we are equal to them. We're not lesser in any way. We are equal. And yes, we do have a different personalities than they do. But yet we have all, like she said, we have both male and female entities within us. But basically, it comes down to character and integrity.
Yes.
And if they go against your integrity, you need to set margins. And when those margins start getting crossed, like she said, you need to say no, and stick by it.
That's very good advice. Anybody else?
I just want to say this was wonderful because we're actually demonstrating what we're talking about in terms of giving voice. And that is the most important. And as we try to teach children, if you're not listened to the first time, find someone else. In my very own case with physical abuse, as close as I was, and I had a very young mother, young father, and lovely open family, my mother did not believe that I was being physically abused after all this would happen. And I would talk to her about it, only because I was seen as so strong and standing up for myself. She just couldn't believe it. She just couldn't believe it. She said, I'm sorry, it was mind blowing to me. I'm telling you now, this happened. This is why I left that relationship. Right. And she'd say, you? No, I don't believe it. So it got to be more important that I just believe. And I'll just say one last thing. Just recently, we had this awful thing in the States about Gabby Petito. And I wasn't so sure who was a young girl who was ultimately murdered by her boyfriend who was abusing her. And there was a video shown. I wasn't so clear, even as an analyst, that I believed in trigger kind of things. And yet my abuse happened when I was 20 years old. I'm not 20 years old anymore. And I was taken back to a time and to feelings that I thought I had long ago worked through, watching her sit there and defend her abuser when the police came to her, and her making excuses and saying, well, he didn't punch me, or he was just, maybe I got him upset. And it all came flooding back. So as much as we could think we work things through, they're part of us, but they can inform our power. They don't have to make us weaker, but they can inform our power to help others as well.
Well, I think that's a good way to end this, that we can be strong as women and men can be strong as men. And together we can try and stop.
We could be gentle.
Well, I also wanted to say that, if you're in the United States of America, whatever state you're in, you should be in touch with your legislators and your senators so that you can make sure that there are stronger punishments against males that will abuse female at any level. So you can be proactive that way. And also you can, if you have extra money to donate, you can give them to the shelters and the resources that aid females. And, still men they control the judicial system and they're usually the ones in power. So we have to make sure that they are listening to our voices when we hound their offices, or, are sending our concerns and having our friends do the same thing, that it will, we're doing, animal abuse, enacting stronger laws for animal abuse. Let's do it for
Yes.
females. Let's do it for girl children.
Exactly. Let's strengthen those laws because now it's very difficult to prove rape.
Yes,
It's
it
very
is.
difficult, very difficult. You need
Yes.
corroboration and date rape is very difficult to prove, and they almost never prove it. So let's go work on laws. And with
Yes.
that, I'm going to say thank you so
Thank you.
much to all of the participants
Thank
of
you.
this
Thank you so
wonderful
much.
experience. And we are going to do another one of these things next month. And I think, Melissa, what did we say it was going to be on?
We were talking about discrimination was going to be our next topic, because discrimination comes in various forms. It could be, based upon your gender, the color of your skin, your religion, all different types of an array of discriminations. So that will be our next topic, and hopefully everybody will be able to join us. And
So I thank you so much.
Thank
I've
you.
just loved this week. It's been such a
Right.
pleasure getting to know all of you. And
Thank you so
thank you
much.
for being part of this wonderful, wonderful experience. So I'm going to end this at 12:30. So thank you again for your poetry, for your joy, for your concern, and for your cooperation. And Pearl, thank you for being here to give us the psychological part of what's going on. And thank you, Kenneth, for being here. I know it's getting late there. So, and thank you for all of the people, Pre-Lakshmi, I know it's getting late for you too.
Sweet
There.
Okay,
dreams.
ma'am. I'm so
Yeah.
happy that I'm able to join today.
Oh, it was wonderful.
Wonderful. And for
Really,
the other
great.
people, for Sonia, for Priya, for Kalipida, and I'm going to say goodbye and good afternoon, because it's afternoon here,
Yes.
and good
Thank
evening
you.
and good night,
Good
probably,
night.
to all
you
of
so
you.
much.
Good night.
Barbara, you were a
Good
perfect
night.
Thank
host.
you. Bye.
Bye-bye
Thank
now.
you so
Connecticut.
much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Thank you to
Bye.
everybody.
Bye. Unless you want to stay on.